Welcome back on Kansas Sports Chatter. It's time for our football chatter, and it's a great opportunity not only to get to know what's going on within the sport of football or anything around the states, but different guests in different areas of the state that help us cover the Sunflower States. And Trey Donovan with the Emporia Gazette Sports Department joining us here. Hey Trey, I know you're freshly into that job there at Emporia. So how have things gone so far covering the Emporia area in the last couple months?
It's been pretty fun. It's complete 180 from my college experience at Baker. Coaches get back to me a lot quicker and are a lot more passionate. I mean, Baker coaches were amazing if they talk to you, but coaches here get back to you. It's fun interviewing them. They're super passionate about their students and their teams, so it's been fun.
Well, you look at, starting with Emporia High School, obviously you guys cover a lot of other area towns around Emporia, but, the big central hub of Emporia for you, for them, I guess snapping that losing streak had been a pretty big story coming into the season.
Oh yeah, they're on a 21 game losing streak. I knew about that before I even came into Emporia. Well, it was 21 after they lost week 1, but before then, 2 winless seasons. Uh, that's an insane losing streak, and it had to have hurt the morale of that team and the program for a bit. But hey, new coach comes in, implements his culture, implements his systems, and suddenly they got 2 wins when a lot of people probably didn't expect him to win this year.
I mean, you talked about first year coach Daniel Goodman. Like, what have you learned from him? What have you kind of taken on his style and just his philosophy?
He's a very hard worker, and he wants his team to work hard. I think that was his first big step. Now he wants his team to take the next step into like competing every down. Because last week against Manhattan, uh, Manhattan's a tough school to play because they're very good at football, and at times it looked like they weren't competing hard enough. So that's his next step with Emporia High.
You look at, over the first half of the football season, like what have been some of the headlines and the storylines that have kind of caught your eye and just some of the interesting stories about Emporia football?
So Emporia football is so with the offensive scheme, they run a flex bone now, and they are powered by senior Rylan Crowell. Uh, he is explosive. That offense is explosive, and it runs through him. I think this year they have an absurd amount of like 20 plus uh, yard touchdowns, and it's through him, through their quarterback Micah Gray, and it it's a very explosive offense, but it's also a very boom or bust.
Okay.
But when it's booming, it's booming.
Well, Micah Gray, kind of tell me about his style, what he's been able to do so far.
Uh, so he's obviously in a flex bone. You're not throwing the ball a ton, so he's kind of the Ryland's the lightning, and Micah's the thunder. So he's
Okay.
the power to the yeah. And against Manhattan, he it was his first start back from hurting his hand, and he was just trying to run over people, no matter who it was. And Manhattan had some big dudes on their defensive line, so all credit to him trying to run him over.
Any other big time stories that we should be aware of around the Emporia area?
So Emporia soccer is doing very well this year. They are, I believe, 6-2-1 now. Ironically, they also just faced Manhattan and they drew with them. They're having a good rebound year after last year. They went 6-10-1 last year, and they're headlined by senior Kevin Magana, who is just an absurd talent and getting scouted by D1 schools already, and he is putting together another great year and should probably will be an all-state uh, team rep for the team.
Well, for you, what has it been like just kind of settling into the Emporia area, and like what did you know about Emporia sports before you settled into the Emporia Gazette, and what have you found out?
So, as I said earlier, I kind of knew about Emporia High being not good at football for for a little bit. But outside of that, I knew Emporia State always had a solid football program and that they were kind of a solid sports school. That's kind of all I knew. I I didn't know much because I always just drove past Emporia to go somewhere else. Uh, but it's been fun here.
Nicely done. Well, we'll let you get back at it and continue those stories, and we'll touch base later on.
Yep, thank you.
That is Trey Donovan with the Emporia Gazette, one of the sports reporters. That'll do it for our football chatter.